Congratulations, you finally did it. You fought your way out of rookies and into D-Class for sports cars in iRacing. Crack open some champagne, go touch some grass, call your mum, do whatever it is you need to do to celebrate the moment, because in a second you're going to have to make a pretty big decision. The fact that you're watching this video means you're probably considering racing the GT4s, and that means you need to pick a side. There's 6 constructors to choose from. Are you an Aston Martin admirer? Maybe you're a believer in the BMWs or a Ford fanatic. Are you mad about a McLaren, or are you mesmerized by a Mercedes? Or perhaps you're just passionate about Porsches? Well, if you aren't sure, then your resident GT4 enthusiast is here to help. I'm George. I race GT4s sitting in a deck chair, and this is a mostly unbiased guide to buying your first GT4 in iRacing. iRacing did a big update to all the GT4s recently, so a lot has changed. So I'll be telling you how each car drives, what they've all got going for them, and why they might just be the car for you. Stick around for the end of the video where I'll give you my pick of which GT4 to drive and a little tip to make sure that you get the most out your time in the GT4s. And if you find anything that I say during this video useful, then please do press the like button. Thanks a lot. I'm going to start off with the Aston Martin Vantage because who doesn't enjoy doing things alphabetically? If you've not watched a lot of GT4 racing in iRacing, then you could be forgiven for not actually knowing that this car exists. Every GT4 race tends to have a good mixture of manufacturers, even at top split. But the one car which is always underrepresented is the Vantage. Why, you ask? Well, to be honest, there isn't an obvious answer, and everyone has their own opinion. It could be because it doesn't sound quite as exciting in the cockpit. It could be because it kind of exists in the same space as the Mercedes, which gets recommended more often. It could be because it's a bit of an all-rounder and doesn't really have its own identity. It could be a combo of all three, who knows. Does that mean you shouldn't get it though? Well, absolutely not. It isn't underrepresented because it's not competitive, so you don't need to worry about that. What you're getting when you buy the Vantage GT4 is a fairly good-looking, if not overly exciting car, with a twin-turbocharged 4-litre V8 sat over the front axle, exactly the same one as the Mercedes. That big front-mounted engine, which drives the rear tyres, means you don't tend to have to worry about oversteer too much. It's understeer that you need to manage. That big engine also makes this car heavy, so, as with all the GT4s, you're going to find yourself lacking grip as the tyres warm up over the first few laps. Once those tyres are warm though, you still need to be gentle with it. If you go in too hot to a turn, you're going to understeer into oblivion. However, it does hold one standout advantage compared to its front-engine rivals, and that is its stopping ability. The Aston Martin brakes pretty well, so if you're imagining yourself as the next Daniel Ricciardo, this might be the car for you. It also has no issue riding the curbs, making those inside dives even more tempting. But obviously, be respectful of your competitors.
Okay, he pushed me off the track. I think you have to leave a space. All the time you have to leave a space.
We might all want to be Ricciardo, but we definitely aren't. So if you want a car that is relatively beginner-friendly, will reward patient driving, offers the option of the occasional late dive, and will definitely make you stand out from the crowd, the Aston Martin Vantage could be for you. Like a perfect alphabet of manufacturers, B is for the BMW M4 G82 Evo. If you're into sim racing, you've probably heard of Jimmy Broadbent, and you probably know that he drives this car in the Nürburgring Endurance Championship in real life. If you start racing GT4s, you'll feel the influence of that in every race. If there are BMW M4s on the grid, then one of them is going to be in a Bilstein livery just like Jimmy's. But we aren't here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the car. Now, if you're thinking the BMW might be the car for you, then ask yourself these questions. Are you a middle-aged man? Do you have a semi-well-paid job at a local bank? Do you play golf? Do you not know how to use indicators? If you answered yes to all these questions, then you're the perfect fit for a BMW M4. If this was real life, the M4 is the car you'd buy because you have a client meeting at 4 but want to hit the track at 6. However, iRacing isn't real life, so you don't need to be able to put a baby seat in the back of your race car. So why would you buy the M4? Well, powered by its 3-litre twin-turbocharged inline-6 engine, it is a dominant force around the Nürburgring in the fixed setup series and will dominate top split whenever GT4s are racing at the Green Hell. It does that thanks to its fantastic straight-line speed, so if you want to go fast, this might be the car for you. However, with all that power comes great responsibility. So if you have a lead right foot and enjoy slamming down the throttle on corner exit, you're going to have a bad time. It also doesn't feel as nimble as many of the GT4s, but if you can master the understeer with effective trail braking, you can overcome this. The big drawback is that the requirement for good trail braking to really push this car means it can be punishing for beginners. All the GT4s need some trail braking to be competitive, but the Beamer is particularly demanding of it. The same thing also applies on corner exit with your accelerator. You've just got to be careful. So if you want a GT4 which offers a lot but requires some really tight driving to extract it, then the BMW might be the car for you. The Mustang is the newest addition to iRacing's GT4 lineup, and it's made an instant impact. It's big, it's loud, and it drives just like you expect an American muscle car to. While it sits in a similar space to the Aston Martin and the Mercedes, it is completely different to drive. Trying to get this thing to turn is exactly like trying to get a Mustang to go somewhere it doesn't want to. It's going to complain, it's going to kick out, and it's going to try and kill you. It has a huge engine, just like you'd expect from an American muscle car. The front-mounted 5-litre Coyote V8 engine is a beast, but it has a massive car to pull, so its top speed isn't actually spectacularly better than the rest of the class. What that massive engine does give is a huge amount of power under your right foot. When you get on the gas coming out of a corner, you're going to know about it. If you're gradual with your throttle application after the apex, then you can generate excellent corner speed. But if you like your foot flat to the floor, you better be pointing in a straight line, because otherwise you're going to be landing more 360s than Tony Hawk. Trust me, I found out the hard way. On the other end of things, corner entry can be tricky as well. Go in too hot and all that weight is going to overload the front tyres and send you deeper than Lewis Hamilton sent his Mercedes at the 2021 Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
Lewis Hamilton takes it away, but he locks on and he's lost it!
It might not lose you the F1 World Drivers' Championship when you do it, but it is going to lose you the race. Anyway, enough with the negatives. What has this thing got going for it? Well, it sounds incredible, and when you drive it right, it is really nice and a lot of fun. But you've just got to be super gentle with it, because if you aren't, it's going to kick you out quicker than a bucking Bronco. So if you fancy being in the loudest car on the grid, looking large in people's mirrors, and have the patience to brake early and get on the gas late, then this is definitely where you want to be. Okay, let's step away from the front-engine beasts for a minute and check out the McLaren 570S. Now, if you're talking about sports cars that turn heads, then this is a standout car in the GT4 lineup. This is the kind of car that you see people with billion-dollar bank accounts driving to lunch in Monaco. If you're a subscriber to the Rule of Cool like I am, and huge props to you if you are, then this stunning-looking GT4 is probably the car you should be driving. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's very objectifying of me, but come on, it does look good. Under the hood, which is at the back of the car this time, is a 3.8-litre twin-turbo V8, which puts out a little less power than the front-engine cars in the lineup, and you can feel it when straight-line speed is required. The big difference from the first three cars I've spoken about is that this is a mid-engine car, not front-engined, and that means it requires a very different style of driving. Being mid-engine, you'll find that the McLaren rotates through the corner much better than the front-engine cars, but then suffers on corner exit a little bit. If you can use the brakes to keep the weight on the front tyres, then it will turn like a dream, and you can then slam your foot down and get away while the boat-like front-engine cars are still trying to find the apex. Everywhere you look, you'll find people raving about how well this car handles and corners, so if that's what you're looking for, this is probably the car for you. What's even better is that it's relatively forgiving while deploying that great cornering ability, which makes it a lot of fun to throw about in comparison to the other cars in the class. However, you are going to find yourself struggling in a straight line, so unless you have the confidence to get a move done around the outside of a slower moving car, it can be hard to overtake. But if you trust yourself and you follow drivers to go wheel-to-wheel racing, then this car can be great fun to drive. So if you want to look fancy and wave goodbye to your competitors while getting wheel-to-wheel with them, then the McLaren might be the car for you. Just don't get mad when the next car on the list flies past you on the pit straight. So the final front-engine monster on our list is the Mercedes-AMG GT4. That massive Roman nose houses the same chunky twin-turbocharged 4-litre V8 that you find in the Aston Martin. The big difference between the two is that the noise of that engine carries much better into the cockpit of the Mercedes, so you can really enjoy the engine noise, while it is a little more muted in the Vantage. How Mercedes decided to house that engine in this mental front end means it isn't conventionally pretty, but the Merc does have something about it that just makes it look absolutely stunning on track. It isn't just looks and sounds that Mercedes have done better than Aston Martin. The AMG is also the easier car to drive. If you go anywhere and ask the question, what is the best GT4 for beginners? The Mercedes AMG is normally the answer. However, be wary of what you read because a lot of the information out there predates the tyre and aero changes that all the GT4s received for Season 4 of 2025. Now, it might still be true. The Mercedes probably is still the easiest drive. It doesn't tend to oversteer much, it is forgiving to trail brake, it does transmit slides through the wheel really well, making them easy to catch, but it certainly isn't an easy drive. The update has made it more challenging, so don't expect to jump into the beginner-friendly GT4 and throw it around like it's a GR86. It just doesn't drive like that anymore.
Amazing.
Your car has too much damage, we've got to fix it. Right side, you're in the middle, 3 wide.
Saying that, it is still the most recommended car of the bunch and the one that I drive as well. It handles curbs really well, it has no extreme weaknesses, and it just races really nicely. Its biggest strength is the huge amount of torque it has, which makes powering out of tight corners and making a pass a real weapon in your arsenal. So if you're looking for something a little more forgiving as you try GT car driving for the first time but still want to compete, then this is definitely a good option. Last but certainly not least is the Porsche 718 Cayman Club Sport MR, and no, don't worry, you don't have to call it by its full name all the time. Porsche GT4 is just fine. Like with the McLaren, the engine is mounted in the middle and is the smallest in class, with 3.8 litres of displacement packed into the 6-cylinder boxer engine. Sadly, that little engine puts out the least horsepower in the class, so if you're after a big, beefy, high-horsepower monster, this definitely isn't going to be the car for you. However, the Porsche does have its own allure. While the company has consistently put out worse-looking cars year after year, and I won't even entertain anyone arguing otherwise, they do still have that signature style, which has been the crutch of the midlife crisis everywhere for decades. But this is sim racing, not real life, and you don't need to be lamenting all that time you wasted on your children to buy this car.
What am I doing with my life?
So what do you get with the Porsche GT4? Well, that small, mid-mounted engine means that this isn't going to be a monster in a drag race, and if your whole plan is to get out of the corner and hope to be faster on the straight, you're going to have a bad time. Like the McLaren, the Porsche is all about the finesse in the corners, and that has been turned up to 11 here. Some really tight brake control, balanced with finding that perfect slip angle once you're on the accelerator, is going to be key to success. Unlike the front-engine cars, the Porsche doesn't like the curbs either, so your lines do need to be really sharp. Don't let that put you off though, because when you drive this thing well, you'll be flying around the corners like you're in a different class to the cars around you. Just make sure you do it carefully because this car can be punishing. So if you want a car that's going to teach you the hard way how to control your feet, then this is definitely the car to pick. But when you do that well, you will be rewarded.
Since the GT4 update that came out in Season 4 of 2025, all of these cars have become more difficult to drive, but that's definitely not a bad thing. Previously, they were so easy to drive and so far removed from the GT3s, they weren't actually that useful of a pathway into the upper echelons of sports car driving, but since the change, they've become much better for that. If you're racing the GT4s as your first step out of rookies, then please don't be put off by the difficulty of driving them. These cars are more difficult to drive than the Mazda MX-5, which is where most people start, but I promise you, once you learn them, you'll be such a better driver and you'll find some incredible races in both of the GT4 series. Personally, when I stepped out of rookies and started driving GT4s, the car that I picked was the Mercedes AMG because at the time everyone said it was the easiest to drive.
And while that's probably not quite so true since the update, it is still a relatively beginner-friendly car. However, in addition to that, I am a massive believer in the rule of cool. You want to be driving a cool car that makes you excited to get out on track and race. And personally, for me, that was the Mercedes anyway, which I think that front end looks absolutely incredible. But whatever you think looks like the coolest car should really be the one that you pick up and drive, because it's the one you're going to enjoy being in the most. If you're driving something that you want to drive, then you're going to tolerate that learning curve so much more, and you're just going to have a better time. If you just drive whatever Fast Guy 69 on Reddit says is the fastest car this week, then you're probably just going to have a bad time, to be honest. So, get in demo drive, test them all out, and just pick the one that you're having fun in, because at the end of the day, that's what sim racing is meant to be about. It's meant to be about having fun. If you enjoyed the video and found anything useful, then please do press the like button and subscribe to Deck Chair Racing so you don't miss more of me, and hopefully I'll see you on track soon.